Nobody tells you that the pattern you inherit as a child are quietly running your business, your burnout, your money fear, your scarcity. None of it started with you, but it can stop with you. And that's what today's is about. Hi, I'm Raina, Biblical Money Mindset Discipleship Coach, and I help Christian female entrepreneurs heal their relationship with money through biblical principle. So you can stop fearing earning more. You can stop avoiding your finance, and you can start selling your offer with confidence. And finally, enjoy stewarding your business that God has called you to build. Today is a dual interview, and I cannot wait to introduce my beautiful guest. Hi, Megan.
Hi,
Would you please introduce yourself?
I'm Megan Sayer, and I am a life coach and burnout specialist for my coaching practice, Lighthouse Life Coaching and Soul Care. And I work with Christian women who are overwhelmed and they are in burnout and just feel that their life is feeling unmanageable.
Can you please tell us what are some signs of burnout you see in Christian female entrepreneurs that often get overlooked?
I think the signs we often miss aren't just the big crashes, but the subtle ways that we erode our own trust. So, one thing I see often is self-abandonment. So, we are so disciplined at keeping our word to our clients and our family, but we habitually break the promises that we make to ourselves. And when you tell yourself you'll rest, but abandon the second that someone else needs something, that's not just being busy, it's a major indicator of burnout. Then there's the internal dialogue. It's that constant inner critic if I should be doing more or I'm not doing enough. So instead of being stewards of our capacity, I see internal prosecutors of our own human limits. And lastly, you'll see physical and cognitive symptoms because our bodies will speak before our minds admit that we're even tired. So I'm talking about the bone deep fatigue that doesn't go away after a weekend, or the brain fog where simple tasks suddenly feel impossible. So when you find yourself getting overwhelmed by things that used to feel simple, that is your nervous system waving a flag, asking you to finally just stop striving.
This is so powerful. And for my clients, I can see that their burnout usually is rooted through a broken relationship with money. And they, like you mentioned, they have a fear of resting as if somehow they are not allowed to do it because the business will fall apart if they do. So there's a huge resistance for them to actually take time for herself. And that inner critic, as you mentioned, is super loud. So thank you for sharing this today.
Yes, you're welcome. How does your relationship with money affect your business?
Well, that's an amazing question because it affects everything. It affects how you earn, how you sell, how you spend, how you give, and even how you see God. So you can have the best strategy in the world for your business, but if your relationship with money is broken, you will self-sabotage every time. I have a quiz where I talked about the different money mindset that could be actually leading your business right now. And I want to share the three that is the most common one, and you may identify with one or two of them. So one is called a scarcity mindset. This is where you have a fear of not enough. So you feel guilty asking for the sale, like you are taking something from the client, and then you often can freeze on sales calls instead of seeing that call as an invitation for transformation. You often undercharge, over deliver, and you can often build resentment. So a scarcity mindset turns a sell call or an offer into a transaction instead of a transformation. Then you have on the other side the total opposite, what we call a greedy money mindset. This is a performance based identity. You tie your worth to your result. Your revenue become a report card on you. So you see God as a rational God. You work very hard and that's equal blessing. Slow months equal failing or there's somehow something wrong with you. or God is punishing you. So this is really challenging because there's always that tug of war. When your worth is tied to your revenue, every slow month feel like failure and that you're not good enough. Then you have the last one, which is a poverty money mindset. This is the fear of money itself. You stay stuck at the same income level, not from lack of skill. You're absolutely amazing at what you do, but because you have the belief that somehow money or success is dangerous. So is that again love and hate relationship? You want to succeed, but you're also fearing what success will make you. Maybe you will become greedy. Maybe you'll be too focused on money. So you're playing small and calling it humble, but it isn't. So the poverty money mindset doesn't keep you holy, it's actually keep you hidden. So as I say, your relationship with money affect everything. So to identify which money mindset could be holding you back, first I would suggest you visit funmoneyhabits.com and take a free quiz. Because healing your relationship with money, with God's word, is what will allow your strategy to actually work. Without it, you will be building on a cracked foundation.
Thank you for sharing that. I think that it's so important to heal our relationship with our money, and everything that you just shared, I'm hearing a parallel to our relationship with ourself. So the way that we treat ourselves is probably going to mirror how our relationship is with money and vice versa. So that's a really powerful observation.
Yeah, thank you for adding that. Now, Megan, how does burnout affect decision making, clarity, or just being able to lead your life well?
So I've learned that when burnout sets in, it doesn't just make us tired, it essentially narrows our lens. So it makes it nearly impossible to lead or live well because we're operating from a place of survival rather than stewardship. So looking back at my own experience, I realized that burnout wasn't just having too much to do. It was a collision of things I hadn't been willing to look at. It was my own limiting beliefs, like believing my worth was tied to my output,
Mhm.
like you were sharing about the worth being tied to money. It was unmet needs and unacknowledged emotions that I'd been suppressing. And of course, just a total lack of boundaries that really made me feel like I was responsible for everything. And when you're carrying all of that, your decision making becomes incredibly cloudy. So you lose that small voice of intuition because the noise of those unmet needs and should is just too loud. So
Mm.
you stop leading your life intentionally and start just reacting to the next fire that needs to be put out. So it's hard to be a good steward of your calling when you're constantly trying to manage your own internal chaos.
Absolutely. And it's so similar when someone has money stress running in the background. Like you say, they are on survival mode and they cannot make long-term money decision in their business that is actually wise. Because like you mentioned, is I need to fix this problem. So it's always fear-based decision, discounting, over delivering, like taking action that they shouldn't in their business and causing more damage in the long term. So, like you mentioned, when clarity disappears, it's because of that nervous system response, which is in alert. So it's really fight or flight, and you feel so anxious. So for my clients, and what I see is that you cannot lead well from that place of financial fear because clarity happens when the money stress finally quiets down. And with money, once you transform your relationship with God's word, you can finally find that peace that surpasses all understanding because now your heart and your mind is fixed on the Lord instead of your income or your performance.
Yes, absolutely. And that is why I created my Burnout Breakthrough Map. It is a free resource for anyone who would like to find that. You can get it at Lighthouse Life Coaching and Soul Care. You can find it on my Facebook page, or you can just email me the word map at alighthouse1017@gmail.com.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome. So I'd like to ask you, what is the most common lie about money that you see?
There is quite a few, but today I just want to focus on the three that I see my clients getting stuck, no matter the level of income they're actually bringing in. So the first one is I will feel better when I earn more. The anxiety actually follow the income. Women earning 10K months feel exactly the same fear as someone only earning 3K. So the issue is that the more money you actually receive, the more it amplifies your existing relationship. So if you already have a poor relationship with money or a strong scarcity mindset, having 10K will not solve that belief that you have about money. So you can't fix it by a number in the bank account. You need to do the internal work to find out what is your money story? Where have you learned that earning more is dangerous? Or where have you learned that having 5K is not enough? You need 10K, etc. So peace is really not linked to the number. It's that inside job. And more money doesn't heal your relationship with money. It just, as I say, give you more things to actually be afraid of. Line number two is having wealth as a Christian is actually bad. This is that constant tug of war I see with my clients. They want to succeed, but then they fear that somehow it will corrupt them. They want to pray about success, but then they feel guilty asking the Lord to bless their business. Women play small on purpose because they believe that staying small somehow or being broke is safer. They call it holy, like the less I have, the more holy I am. But poverty is not actually a fruit of the spirit. And generosity in your business and in your life require resources. That is your time, your money. You need resources. And if you're playing small, because of fear that is based on a lie, because God has never said that money is bad. He mentioned that the root of all evil is the love of money. So, yes, if you have the wrong relationship with money, your heart posture can shift and you can make money an idol. I agree with that. But God have never said that money itself is bad. Now, it's the way you think, feel, and behave is what could be an issue. And you cannot steward what you're afraid to actually hold. So that's why this slide is so common for Christian women entrepreneurs that I work with, and we need to let it go. And the last one, this is very dangerous, is a slow season mean that God is punishing me. This is so damaging because I see beautiful entrepreneur crumble thinking that there must be something wrong with me. God doesn't like me as much as this entrepreneur here. And when you take decision, it's panic decision. It's like you say, out of burnout, trying to force a result. So you're confusing a business season with a transaction with God. As I said earlier on, thinking that the more work you do, somehow he owed you something. But God is sovereign. He can choose to bless me, you, or somebody else. But it's not based on your performance or even your faith. Often they say you don't have enough faith. That's why you don't have the result that you want to have. And I think this is a very dangerous gospel to be taught because this is not true. And this is what they call the prosperity gospel. So we need to normalize that in business, there are seasons. But the problem is the story you add or tell yourself when you are in a low season. And a low season, please, is not a verdict, it's just a season. And if you want to learn more about those lies that you may be ruminating on or that may be playing in the background, I have an episode on the Christian money mindset for businesswomen, episode 100, where I share the biggest lie you believe about money. And I go so much deeper and I have more examples. So those were just the three that I noticed that is very damaging for the female entrepreneurs because it affects the way they show up. It affects the capacity they also have and how much they can actually earn because they stay stuck in pattern and self-sabotage.
So it sounds like limiting beliefs is the relationship that we need to heal. So the limiting beliefs around money for you and limiting beliefs around ourselves in terms of burnout, because when we don't have a good relationship with our belief system is our foundation. So I think it's great that you're able to walk with your clients and help them discover their story and their limiting beliefs and really restore that relationship to money. And I like that I'm able to do the same, but more with the relationship to themselves so that we can get out of that survival mode.
Mm.
Because being in survival mode can be dangerous in the sense that, like you were saying, like a lot of people believe that if you're in a low season that you're being punished. But even being in survival mode is not a punishment, and it's definitely not the Holy Spirit speaking to you. It's an invitation for us to get our beliefs in order and become in obedient with God, with God's way.
Yes. Absolutely. This is the work that I do. We get to the root of your money story. So that was created in your childhood, long before you
Mhm.
even started earning money or having a business. But you have inherited patterns and fear regarding money that now are operating in the background that you're not aware of unless we stop and we look at what are you currently believing about money. How is it currently affecting you today in your business? And often you will feel and understand that, oh, this is the voice of mom that is talking in the background. And I'm just modeling her or rebelling against what she told me because of the interpretation you had because of a past event. And so it's so beautiful that you are helping them with their personality, their own view of themselves, but in line with what God is saying. Because that's the key about what we both do. We help people renew their mind with biblical truth because we want them to stay anchored in Christ as their identity and not the self help. I will get positive thinking. This is not at all what I'm teaching. And I know that Megan doesn't teach that too. So it's very important that you pause and ask the Lord, why am I believing that is not aligned with who you say that I am and what you say about money too? And for both, you can heal the fear or the burnout. There's work to be done, and that's why often having someone to guide you along the way is so powerful. But once you heal your relationship with yourself or with money, the ripple effect are not just there. It will flow into your marriage, your life, your business. It's such a powerful thing. Won't you agree?
Absolutely. And I can speak from my own experience that I was in survival for quite a long time. And I never imagined that I would be sitting here on a podcast or being a coach because I had such fear around so many things because I was in survival mode and I couldn't handle a lot of the things that I wanted to do. And money was hard for me because I was in survival. So I was wanting to hold on to money because I didn't feel safe spending it on things that would be an investment. And so as I started healing, I was able to start investing and stewarding my money differently. And like you said, when you heal your relationship with yourself, it does have that real ripple effect. And that was one of the things that I noticed. Like one of the biggest things I noticed was I was just focusing on healing my relationship to myself and getting out of survival mode, but I started to see a shift in how I related to money, how I related to God, how I related to the people in my life, and even the world around me. So it certainly has a very big ripple effect. And I see that's how God blesses us is when we are obedient to doing and stewarding his way.
Absolutely, 100%. And when you share what you shared, it just brought me back to when I reach my goals. And I thought that, okay, once I pay off my $250,000 of debt and I have money in the bank account, I will be free, right? Well, the day I pay off all the debt, I had six figures in the bank account. Guess what? I could not invest $297 for a marketing course because my scarcity mindset was still there. The relationship with money was still broken. Reaching my money goal, having money in the account meant absolutely nothing because I was still running in the back of my head the belief that there's not enough, that I should hold, like you say, money because I need to be prepared for tomorrow because the future is too dangerous. And that was so crumbling for me because it's not only affected the way I spend money, but also how I priced my offer. I was feeling so bad asking for money, and I call it I was generous and humble by having such a low price for my coaching when it was just fear of rejection, fear of what people will say, and fear that what I was doing, the work I was doing, wasn't good enough to actually ask for that price. So it has an impact, as you mentioned, on my own self belief about how I view myself too. So healing your relationship with money will help you change your perspective on God because I don't want you to have a transactional relationship with God. And it also changes the way you see yourself so you can be a fruitful and faithful steward of your business, your money, and also yourself and anything else that God is giving you because at the end of the day, He's the owner and we are only steward here on earth.
Yes, I love that. And I think that is probably one of the biggest things that stuck out to me was when I started to learn how to steward in God's ways, both financially and my relationship with myself, giving myself the rest that I need without feeling guilty and without that condemnation. And when I was doing things that worked for me, there were a lot of times where I struggled because there were certain things that just didn't work for me that worked for everybody else, or everybody was telling me, do it this way, do it that way. And when I started to look at myself as a unique person and doing things that worked for me, everything started to fall in place more because even with stewarding my money, when I did it in a way that worked for me, of course, there's many different ways to budget your money and steward your money and how you invest and where you invest in all of those things. But it really opened me up to putting my money in the right places for the right reasons. And that just brought me so much peace.
Absolutely. And I love what you share. And my clients call me the fun money coach. I have somehow a way of helping women let go of all that heaviness that come with the topic of money. And it's because I teach them not budgeting. I teach them to change their relationship with money, which have a ripple effect on how they steward. And when we get to looking at the number, which they have been avoiding for so long because of shame or guilt, now they can steward it, and we're doing it in a fun way by creating fun money habit. And it's all specific to you. Some women tell me, I don't like the DIY spreadsheet or the app. I'm more of a pen and paper. Absolutely. Let's create a fun money routine for you based on that. Others, they want the tech. No problem at all. We can go there. But if you already have a resistance in the tool that you're going to be using to steward, of course your mind will be in shutdown because it will be perceived as a threat. So you're not going to be wanting to do it. And then there will be avoidance. And that's how the cycle can start. You need to make money managing, selling, earning something that is fun. And most importantly, that feels safe. so that you are not activating the amygdala, the fight or flight, but you're just operating from a place of peace and joy, knowing that you're being obedient to the Lord, doing what He's calling you to do, and stewarding your resources well. So, Megan, is there anything else you would like to add?
I'm just so glad that you said that you make it fun because I would say when I was in burnout and in survival mode, fun was the last thing that I could enjoy. And when that was reintroduced to me through coaching, that is really what transformed my relationship to money, to myself, even to rest, all these things. I started to look at life so differently, and I was able to enjoy them. I could enjoy money. I could enjoy my relationships in a whole different way, even with myself and with rest. And I'm just so glad that we were able to share this time together. And I just want to share once again that if you would like the Burnout Breakthrough Map, you can get it free at my Lighthouse Life Coaching and Soul Care on Facebook, or you can email me the word map at a lighthouse1017@gmail.com.
Perfect. So thank you so much, Megan. And the links will be in the description as well, so you can find it there. And as I mentioned earlier on, if you want to know what is currently holding you back, visit funbets.com and you can take a free money mindset quiz. And awareness is the first step to transformation. And if you relate with anything we've shared today, please be sure to connect with us to get those free resources, and we cannot wait to help you on this journey to stop the burnout and to heal your relationship with money. Thank you very much. You take care. Bye.